Hi everyone, Chris J with Bluecoat Foundation. On this podcast, we have the lucky honor to have the co-host Claudia Moreno with us, and we interviewed Chaplain Wilson Rios. Chaplain Wilson has a nonprofit called Policia TSU, and we go into his inspiration for his nonprofit. We go into the hardships of helping fallen officers and their families, and we go into his faith and how his faith has helped fallen officer families as well. Chaplain Wilson has followed us for a long time, and we finally got to meet him in Puerto Rico. He's a great person, great energy, and you'll be able to see that on this interview. He has a lot to offer in his experience and his advice. We end the podcast with a couple of dedications and with the music of Natalie Blue. I hope you enjoy.
It's less than 60 degrees here in Los Angeles, so I'm freezing my butt off, as you can tell.
Not even that cold here. It's only like 30.
Yeah, I'm dying. You're 30? It's about 55 here, and look at me.
Look at you, all bundled up.
Yes,
Soft
sir.
like cotton candy. Yes, how you guys doing?
Good. How are you? It's good to see you.
Likewise.
Good to see you. Your energy in Puerto Rico was great. I appreciated it. You were
Thank you. Likewise.
very friendly, and you just had this energy to you that I enjoyed. So just kind of gravitated towards you. Just wanted to hang out with you the whole time.
Yeah, it was sad that I was staying at I was literally, you guys were on the east side of the island. I was all the way at the west side of the island because my mother, that's where she lives. Therefore, I try to spend as much time with her as I can while I'm there.
That's good. How often do you go back?
Since we started the organization, I've been there several times. In 2022, I was there 6 times. 2023, we couldn't make it, and this year we already started off with a bang because we've already been there.
Chris he got pushed out. Oh, there he is. He's back.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening, but I'm listening. It'll cut off every now and then, but we'll keep going. It's all right.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. So tell me about your organization.
Well, Policia TSU is born. I start writing the Unity Tour. I start writing the Unity Tour in 2020. That year we did. We rode in October, and then we rode in May again. Late October, and then in May 2021. But as I rode, I didn't expect what was to come. I knew that we were going to Washington, D.C. I knew we were riding 300 plus miles, and I knew it was a 3-day ride. But riding into the monument really pretty much touched me really big time. I've done a lot of, as a chaplain, as a pastor, I got a channel called Truth to Ponder. So in Truth to Ponder, we did a lot of book bag drives. We did quote drives. We did a lot of things. So after Hurricane Maria, I said, one day I want to do something for Puerto Rico. Yet I didn't know that the Police Unity Tour would bring me this close to wanting to do something for fallen officers' families in Puerto Rico. And that's how it starts. It starts on a June 9th, 2021. I'm sitting there I was literally registering it at that point. And that day, I'm looking at the information provided in all the Leo pages about Puerto Rico. And on the 10th, I wake up in the morning, I was off, and I said, you know what? We're going to ride every year, because I rode that year in 2020 and 2021 for the 3 police officers who died in Puerto Rico and Carolina, the ones that we did the run for. And I said, I'm gonna do this every year, but I want to do this at a different level. I want to do it in Puerto Rico. And I want to do it to serve the children of fallen law enforcement officers. And that's when the organization was born, June 9th.
Nice. What are some of the first things your organization did?
The first thing we did was we did a bike ride. We did a similar bike ride to the Police Unity Tour. The only thing is that it's not as long.
Okay.
We did a short ride. We did it from the takeoff point where we took off in the running, but we went from the Plaza de Carolina where you guys went to see the surveillance section of the police in Puerto Rico. We started there, and from there we went to the small monument that's where the race started, and then from there we went to the monument where the ceremony was, and that was a resting point. We rested there, we hydrated, and we took off from there, and we went to El Morro, which is the fortress over there in San Juan. And there we went with Zachariah Cartledge, that we invited him over. We brought him to Puerto Rico. It was the first time that he visited Puerto Rico, and he was dying to go to do a run. So it happens that our event and the organization, well, provided that opportunity for young Zachariah. From that point to the monument, to the state monument, is 1 mile exactly. And I don't recall the amount of miles that he had run to that point, but from Florida to San Juan, it's the equal amount of miles that he ran that year. And with that mile that he was going to run.
Wow.
Tell me about Zachariah.
Well, I was following Zachariah for quite some time. I wanted to meet him, and I reached out to his dad. I wanted to do an interview with Zachariah in my channel, Policia TSU, because I had already established the channel. And it wasn't happening. He was too busy. And then one day I reached out to him, and like the very next day he called me back, and we set up the appointment to go to Puerto Rico.
No, who's Zachariah though?
Oh, Zachariah is a young man that starts at 13 years old because he starts running a mile for fallen police officers. And I followed him ever since pretty much he started.
Yeah.
So I wanted him to, because he had already run for the Puerto Rico officers in Florida, in the school a lot where he normally runs. So I called him up and I said, will you honor us to come to Puerto Rico and run a mile for our fallen police officers, which at the time there was 396 officers who have fallen in the line of duty. At this point, we already have 400 plus.
Wow. Wow. So that was one of the first events you did, huh?
That's the very first event I did.
Very first.
Yep.
Very cool. I know when we were getting ready for that run, you came up to me and you said that you've been following us for a while. That was kind of every once in a while I'll get people that come up to me and they'll say, Chris J. I'm like, who are you? It's kind of cool. But that meant a lot for you to tell me that you were kind of following us a little bit throughout the years. So appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you what, the connection was made through Chief. I meet Chief when I established the organization. And after I established the organization, one of his officers was the vice president of the organization.
Okay.
But due to family situations, he steps down. But, as a man of faith, I believe that when one person moves out, there's always someone else to come in. So like Moses and Joshua and all this, leading to the next leadership. And I was privileged to establish ties with Chief. But our vice president today, Edgardo Suarez, he's an active state police officer in Puerto Rico.
Okay. Nice. Let me ask you something. Something I had in large adjustment period with was speaking directly to, let's say, the widows of fallen officers. Really kind of changed my approach over the years. You speaking with let's say, widows or children of fallen officers. How has that affected you and how you evolved the organization?
Well, a lot changed. So much changed because as a pastor, I've preached, I've done funerals, I've done weddings, and I had a pastor that once told me, in this line of business, which is pastor, in this calling, you will laugh and you will cry sometimes the same day. And I didn't understand what it meant, but one day I married a couple in the morning and I buried a young man at night, and I understood it right off the rip. So what changes here is that now I'm doing something for people that I don't know at all. I didn't know these officers. I didn't serve with them. And when I meet their families, at that point, their pain becomes our pain. Because at that point, we're trying to build a connection that says, I'm hurting with you. And being in law enforcement just solidifies how we as a community work together. Because as law enforcement officers, the community expects us to be made of steel. And what we see, what we experience is life changing by itself. But now, when you're dealing with the family members of fallen law enforcement officers who are brothers and sisters to us, it's like you feel that you've lost someone very special because you're there hearing their stories, their lives. Because just like in the Police Unity Tour, just like in the Run, we don't ride and we don't run because they died. We ride and we run because of the way they lived and what they lived for.
Yeah,
so it changed me a lot.
That's definitely an important way to approach it that I kind of go back and forth with too. Tell us about your background in law enforcement, how you evolved to this point.
Well, I was a truck driver. And it so happens that I was struggling in life because I didn't want to be a truck driver. It was the easiest job I learned to hate. And then I got into ministry, and I'm going to say the name of the trucking company because I'm so grateful for what they did for me. LB Trucking Paper, LB Paper Mill, Trucking. I worked with them, but then the wife of the owner, she saw that I was always reading the scriptures, and then I applied to go to Pillar College, and I didn't have the funds. And generously, they put me through college.
Wow.
And till this day, I am very grateful for that. I become a minister. I become a pastor and minister. I go through my master's, my doctorate. I prepare myself to do ministry. But then one day, I sit down and I said, you know what? I would like to be in law enforcement. It's not something that was always in my heart, but I would like to be in law enforcement, to be a chaplain to law enforcement officers. And I thought it was like the military. So I looked up the organization I'm in, which is Hudson County Corrections and Rehabilitation Center. And when I look up Hudson County, they don't have a police chaplain. They got chaplains that work with inmates, but they don't have a police chaplain. So I said, you know what? I'm going to get in there and I'm going to do what I got to do because I want to help these officers. But I didn't know the monster I was getting into. Behind the walls, a different life. I'm not on the street. I'm not out there, but we get everything that law enforcement brings us. It's not like we can select who we get. We take everything. They bring them, we take them. And when I was there, I was like, what is this? This is an environment. And me being spiritual, I'm looking at people as people can change, and they can. But now an environment of authority over people, some people who don't want to change. And I was like, this is impossible. I said, I came here to be a chaplain, and here I am, a corrections officer, And back in the day, they were called turnkeys, guards. They were called a bunch of things. But at this point, I'm a servant of the Lord, trying to make a difference. But now I get caught with inmates who need to hear that there is hope for them, that no matter what happens, there is a life that they can change to. But some of them listen, some of them don't. But then I hit a crossroad, church and state, and policies and procedures. So I'm like, wow. So I formulate a program for chaplaincy for my department, and I bring it to the current director. And he says, it's a great program. But sadly, I don't think that the politicians are going to go for it because of church and state. And I was like, wow, if they only understood that church and state was created so that the state can't get into the church, not the other way around. But I kept going. And till today, I got to say that I've encountered a lot of officers. I've been to funerals. I've spoken. I eulogized one of our sergeants when he passed away. And at work, they started calling me the man of the cloth. They started calling me pastor. They started calling me Rev. They started calling me all these names. And a lot of people have trust in me. So I think I accomplished what I wanted. But now I feel that I know how to separate the two.
How did you get past those politics in order to establish what you have?
Well, as a pastor, I have a way in which when I speak to people and they come to me, I call it reverential. A reverend, that's confidential. Reverential. I speak to them, and that's between them and I don't let it interfere in my labors. I don't let it interfere in what I have to do, but I do what I can to try and help. I've received phone calls at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I pick up every phone call because there was a point where when I was a trucker, I received a phone call at 11 o'clock at night, and I was like, I'll call him back tomorrow. And he was a high-low driver, and he committed suicide that night. And I said, never again will I let a phone call go by.
How much have you spoken to partners of officers who have died in the line of duty?
Every day. Right now, at my job, we lost officers to COVID, and their partners. I get the opportunity to speak with them. And, I'm not saying that everybody likes me because we're in a world that not everybody's going to like us. And not everybody's going to believe what we do or believe in what we do or how we do it. But in the police unity tour, I got to speak to several officers who lost their partners. And it's just been so incredible because sometimes it's on a daily basis. Sometimes there's a gap. Sometimes I go a month without speaking to anyone. But I'm always the one that says, hey, how you feeling? How you been? Or if they ask me, how you doing? That's why I always answer, blessed, highly favored, better than I deserve. Because the moment you come to me to ask me how I'm doing, it opens the door for me to ask you how you're doing.
So what's your title in the church? Pastor?
I'm a pastor.
So
correct.
do you have several pastors in your organization that are available, or is it you for now? And what's that kind of a vision like?
Right now I serve as kind of like a missionary pastor to Casa de Oración in Florida. They ordained, I was already ordained, but he started following me and he invited me to his church and he gave me coverage and he ordained me within his organization. And since then, that's the way I've been working as a missionary pastor, or should I say an evangelist pastor away from the church in Florida.
Okay, interesting. Do you ever find people coming to you who are from other religions or no religion?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
How do those go in our world, right? Where we see a lot of catastrophe and trauma. It seems
Well,
like if they're going to you, they need to feel something within, right? Something's happened. So
it's like the biggest thing is, I deal with a lot of Muslims, I deal with a lot of Jewish people, and a lot of non-faith people. I'm not going to say his name, but I got an officer who doesn't really believe. But every time something is happening, or our friend, um, his kids are going through something, or he's going through something, he first thing he does is text me, "Hey, Rios, I need you to pray for this person or that person." And he says he doesn't believe that way, but the
mhm.
bottom line is that he claims, because I'm not taking ownership to anything, that every time I pray, it works. So, so I believe that God is doing something and helping these people, and using me as a vessel to do so.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Claudia, you look like you have many thoughts or questions here.
I just can totally relate to him because I was a chaplain for, gosh, I was back 2007 to 2011, I think it was, or 10. And when I was a chaplain, it was for the police department. I started off as a receptionist, and our training that we had, it wasn't specific to any religion or any church. It was that you were basically there for everybody. You weren't there to preach to anybody or get philosophical with anybody. It was there for you, for support, and you were there for people to be able to confide in you. And it was not a patrol chaplain, but it was on call. So they would send me out to all these calls, and so I would be there for the public. But in time, I built a trust, and before that, my filter was very, very different, and I watched a lot more of what I said, how I carried myself, because I didn't want to miss out on the opportunity of someone needing me and feeling like I don't know if I can go to her because I can't trust her. I wanted to be somebody that was trustworthy. So I always took pride in the way that I carried myself at work. But just listening to him saying, how you can be there for anybody, and you're not necessarily going to be able to help everybody, and everybody may not want your help, but that's not what you're there for. You're just there to help where you can, how you can. Of course, you do your best to go above and beyond, but just being able to reach out, even if it's to one or two people, and you may have a dry spell, when you do have that opportunity to help someone, it's very meaningful. And especially with building that trust. And I think one of the reasons why the chaplain that used to be there before, the head chaplain, one of the reasons that I would see a lot of people go to him and confide in him is because he did have prior law enforcement. So if you're there and you're kind of building that trust, I think it helps a lot when you have some sort of experience, because then it helps the officers feel more comfortable with you and to where they feel like they can relate, or that you'll understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
So
we have two pastors who come to our station regularly, and I really respect what they do. They've said prayers and roll call, but I know there are other people in the room who are other religions, but I am really impressed by their approach. And although they're praying and there's other religions in the room, what they say is very powerful, and it's very it just kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It allows for everybody to be involved in it.
Universal.
Yeah, and it's not fake either, and it's not trying too hard, and I really, really respect that. And just having them there walking around saying hi, like just having that outlet at each time, like it's just more that we could grasp to, more for us to reach to when we need it. So it's a great thing. It's a great thing that you guys do.
I had an officer once tell me, I may not believe like you believe, but if there really is a God, I feel like he's walking around when you're around. So I'm like, wow, well, that was powerful, because at the end of the day, like Claudia said, when you're in chaplaincy in a department, you're not there for deliberation, to deliver somebody to your faith. And you're there more as a support and a resource. Because a lot of times we find people that struggle because they don't know where the resources are.
Right.
And for us officers, the most amazing thing is that you have a chaplain who understands what you do because they do the same thing. And the thing is that sometimes, like, you sit down, like sometimes I sit down and I'm like, I'm going to go try to talk to these officers and tell them something that, I see on a daily just like they do. The only thing is that right now they're experiencing it at a different level.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is amazing to hear. I didn't know much about you, Wilson, and that's my apologies. It's been busy the last year and a half for me, but definitely appreciated you. I know that when the chief had me sit down in that front row with you guys, I felt very. I had my shorts on. I was just beat red from the run. I had my little pasty chicken legs going. I was sitting amongst giants, if you will, important people, but. The chief let me know how important it was that we were there. So he let me feel in place at that moment, and didn't feel out of place. But I saw what you did, and that was amazing. So yeah, I mean, I think it'd be great for to work with your organization in the future and just do little things here and there that help people out. That'd be great if you would be open to it.
Yeah, no, most definitely. People think that the moment that you open an organization and you start getting into the nonprofit, that is just a matter of, okay, nonprofit paper. Okay, now we get all the money in the world, and that's not the way it works. There's a lot of legwork that needs to happen. There's a lot of there's, and I don't want to use the word sell, but you need to be able to sell your vision to the point where that person feels that is his vision. Because nobody's going to jump on your vision until they can buy into it the way you bought into it. Now, don't get me wrong. That doesn't mean that they're going to have the passion that you have for what you believe and what you created. This is your baby. This is our baby. But the reality is that when you do something with the passion and the willingness
Right.
to do something for people you don't know, let me tell you, God moves tremendously. Because for our first event, we went there with $0. With $0, I'm planning this big event. And I started speaking to people and I started presenting our idea, because we want to help the children of fallen law enforcement officers. We want to be able to give them school supplies. We want to give them anything they need, if possible, grants in the future for going to school, scholarships. Get together and partner with a college in Puerto Rico that believes in our vision. But we also want to create a fallen law enforcement museum like the one we got in Washington. But I want one that we can put in Puerto Rico so that we can bring people to see how these law enforcement officers, what they're dealing with, how they lived, and the challenges that they have even today being part of the United States.
That's amazing.
Rich history, just in the previous interview that you had, right, with Chris and Chief, there's a lot of rich history that I think would be beneficial to having a museum there in Puerto Rico. I think that would be pretty cool.
No, for sure. I think that we need to find a way so that people from all over the world could come and see how limited their resources are and how big the job is for them. Here, I'm not saying that we got it all, but one thing I will say, we have what we need to accomplish the task. Right now, you heard Chief, they don't have a computer in their car where they could, receive the calls. The calls come in through radio. For Maria, calls used to come in through cell phones. So it's something that is so it's so incredible to serve as a police officer, but would the next generation have the same zeal and willpower to serve with such limitations?
Hmm. That
Good
Let me bring
point.
you back a little bit to starting a nonprofit or any organization to help. If there's any officers out there who have the desire to, you already gave your first piece of advice, maybe unknowingly, but just having that vision, that strong vision, and staying on that. I know for myself, my vision was a little haywire. It was all over the place. I've had friends, including Claudia, who's like kind of helped me focus a little. However, I was trying to, I'm not good at putting my face out there, my pictures on social media. Social media is so important. I was trying to get a spokesperson to do it for me, and it just got talked out of it. Like no one could really give your message like you want to give it. Number one. Number two is I've tried to have other people organize my events. I think some of that is, maturing and just responsibly delegating, and you're able to continue giving your vision as long as you build that team appropriately. So vision is huge, and being involved in that. What else would you say to a copper who maybe wants to start something? Maybe not a full nonprofit or anything, just a fundraiser, because how should they start? And that process.
Number one thing is transparency. The transparency is the number one thing that you need to have with your public when you're trying to deliver a message of help. People need to understand that, what, this is what I want to do. Because sadly, so many nonprofits have been born since the moment the 501c3, pretty much tax exempts everybody. That's a nonprofit. But how many of the nonprofits are really benefiting a community? Because remember, policing is community. And when you start a nonprofit, is okay, how can I help a community with very limited resources? Because sadly but true, these communities may be getting some kind of resource, but when that resource, like the children of fallen law enforcement officers in Puerto Rico, when I approach a son or a daughter or the mother of a police officer, I want them to understand that their son or daughter paid the ultimate price, but that they did too. And that the blue line doesn't end at the funeral. The blue line extends, and we need to be able to deliver that with such transparent and clarity that even they want to be part of what you're doing. Because remember, nonprofit is not about collecting money. Nonprofit is about collecting people. And if you can get as many people involved, the money comes secondhand.
A few interesting things there that I like. I'm just trying to process it here. I like it. So we're thinking vision, transparency in your mission statement, right? And having that really together seems like those two things there, you could just go leaps and bounds in any way you want to approach it. Seems to me.
And the thing is, like for us, 2023 was a dry year for us, very dry year, because in 2022, you saw the plaques that I gave at the presentation, at the ceremony. Those plaques were supposed to be handed September 2022. But it didn't happen because a hurricane came and took the lights of the Capitol building where the event was going to happen. Right. So by the time we can get organized and process everything, we missed out on our April date to do the run, because we want to do our run in April every year. Now you're probably thinking Wilson's crazy because in May we're going to the Police Unity Tour. Yes, and the only reason why I do it in April is because in January they celebrate, in February, what is it? February they celebrate Police Week. in Puerto Rico, state police. But then you got March, April, but then in May they celebrate Police Week again, but it's municipal. So
Right. Hmm.
being there in April, I can bring everybody together and let them know that we're no longer in the battle of the badges. Let battle of the badges be so that when we're playing softball, okay, that's great, but not when we're doing our jobs. Our career doesn't deserve that.
Understood. Yeah, that's a lot there. I mean, I think when I started my nonprofit, I had no idea what it really meant. And even as did we lose them? Still there?
I'm still here. I was receiving a phone call. I hung them up.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, I've been learning a lot as far as the business structure of it, and a big part of that is learning about myself. I can't do it all, so I think another piece to give any other officer who wants to start this is finding the right team members, putting them in the right place for the right duties, who also share the vision, right? So just a small team of friends, or maybe just some people who are coworkers who love your vision, and because you can't do it by yourself. That's what I've been learning the hard way. You see
You
the face
can't
she
do it by
makes?
yourself.
You see the face she makes?
Yeah, look at her. She's a troublemaker. You can't do it by yourself. And one thing that I learned, Chris, moving into what you just said, a small group of friends, sometimes friends are just that, friends. We could chill, we could go out, but when it comes down to a nonprofit, you need is an order, is an order that you got to put in your mind, where you got to understand that everybody that's involved has the same challenge with what you're doing. Like when I say challenge, is like you talk to somebody, you be like, you believe that, like me, I say, you believe that children of fallen law enforcement officers in Puerto Rico, they don't have the resources that maybe our children would have if we would fall in the line of duty. And they're and if their concern is like explosive, like, oh no, that's impossible, something needs to be done, whatever, that's a good team member, because now you both are in a position where you both want to help. You both have, they're not going to feel what you feel. Always remember that. They're never going to feel what you feel, but at least they can taste a little bit of that oasis that you're building.
100%. I didn't prepare you for this question, but do you want to really give a dedication? I like to dedicate each podcast to a fallen officer, just kind of as something we do here. But if you'd like to dedicate this podcast, us sharing our thoughts to a fallen officer, can you do that for us?
Yes, no. I would like to dedicate this podcast to two of the officers that another two officers that died in Puerto Rico in 2020, because 2022. I'm sorry, 2021. Because it was a gruesome year for police in Puerto Rico. Pabón Ferrer, he was actually, I think it was the end of his shift. He was going home and he suffered a severe accident and lost his life. And Erasmo García from Ponce. Ferrer was from Isabela. Erasmo Garcia was from Ponce. He was the officer in the motorcycle unit that died in a traffic stop. So I would like to dedicate this podcast to them, because I believe that not only we should know about our fallen officers, I believe that the world and eternity, from today until Jesus comes back, people should know about these fallen officers, because they paid the ultimate price.
Thanks for that. I'm gonna wrap it up here a little bit. So any last things you want to say, just let me know. I know that you're out of New Jersey, right?
Yes, I'm out of New Jersey.
I need to go to New Jersey, and I don't think I need to have a drink with you. I think I need to have a coffee to keep up with you. But
hey,
I feel like we could keep talking forever. So I kind of let you go with it. No, you're good. But Claudia, any last thoughts here?
And I just think you're awesome. I know that you do a lot of woodworking too, right? A lot of that stuff you make on your own. I think that's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I do a lot of woodworking. My grandfather was a master carpenter, and when I was younger, they used to have these little statues, like the Three King statues, and they were on the horses, and one of the horses had a broken leg, and I was like, I want to fix that, and he taught me how to fix it, and from that point on, it just took off.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have none of those skills, so I'll lean to you and
But Chris, we're here for you. I was telling Claudia, we're here for you. I know that your task is a tight task, and one of the biggest hurdles that we have is that we're still active in our careers. So there's really so much we can do within the period of time that we have available to do it. But I think you're doing a great job. I think that you brought an amazing team to Puerto Rico, and I believe that I want to be able to work with you in future events. I really want to go to Cali at some point, to LA or where you guys are at, because there's something about family. And the one thing that I attribute to family is you got to go where they're at. And I'm going to you, my man.
I'll be waiting for you, sir.
Sometimes I love you is just something people say when they're afraid that you might finally walk away. Well, honey, I'm done dragging my boots in the sand when I know you don't mean it. Honey, I'm done trying to understand why you won't let me in. 'Cause I can't keep grasping on to nothing. No, I can't keep begging you for chances like a dog to a bone. So hard to let you go, and I know we could have been something good. We could have been something. We could have been something good. We could have been something. I've drawn so many straws, I finally pulled my last. No, this heart of mine can't survive one more impact. Baby, I'm done letting myself be damned since you won't be convinced. Baby, I'm done trying to understand why you won't let me in. 'Cause I can't keep grasping on to nothing. No, I can't keep begging you for chances like a dog to a bone. So hard to let you go, and I know we could have been. We could have been something good. We could have been something. We could have been something good. We could have been something. Now I'm done chasing a could haves. If it should have, it would have. Said I'm done chasing the could haves. If it should have, it would have. 'Cause I can't keep grasping onto nothing. No, I can't keep begging you for chances.